there's a thing that happens with holidays because we give meaning to the holidays. And then there's this whole societal sort of programming around holidays. Society, and whatever you were brought up to believe about the holidays, let's just say Thanksgiving, or Christmas, whatever you were brought up to believe, or whatever your experience was in celebrating those things, the holidays can either be super exciting or super depressing, right? If you have always believed and given meaning to holidays mean, big family dinners, but now in your life you aren't having big family dinners, you don't have a lot of family around you, then when everybody else is off with their big families and you're sitting alone or you have no one to celebrate with, then it can tend to make you feel like something's missing, maybe make you feel depressed. There's others that hate those big family gatherings where there's a bunch of people around, because of events or traumas that have happened to them, or empaths especially can't handle that much energy and that many people around at one time. I have someone that I spoke to the other day that was sort of in conflict. It's like we had a really nice, quiet, intimate Thanksgiving, but I'm used to Thanksgiving being this big, lots of family, the cousins, the grandparents, and since I'm so estranged from all of my family, it just feels like something was missing. I'm like, well, do you like all those people around? No, they were toxic, right? So now we have internal conflict. So my advice to any of you that are having that sort of thing happen with the holidays is change the meaning you give the holidays. As adults, one of the greatest things that we get to do, and one of the biggest sort of superpowers that I think a lot of adults seem to forget, is you get to decide what the holidays mean for you and to you, right? Like you get to create your own traditions. For a long time, me and my kids, and it wasn't something I learned, it was just something I sort of invented. We had what was called Latvian Christmas. As a single mom, I couldn't afford, like at Christmas time, to buy them all these super expensive electronics and everything else. But what I did start to notice is the after Christmas sales were freaking amazing. So what we started to do was what I called Latvian Christmas, where we didn't celebrate Christmas on Christmas. We celebrated Christmas on New Year's. On Christmas, I would take my kids and we would go tubing, right? Inner tubing in the snow, or we would go do something else, right? So whether we went ice skating or sledding or tubing or whatever, we did something like that on Christmas. And then Christmas dinner and all of the presents and all of that stuff we did on New Year's. And I went shopping at the after Christmas sales and I got everything for like 70% off, which meant that I could get more for my money. And it wasn't about going to people's houses. To me, the meaning I gave it, because I did not like Christmas and I did not like the holidays before I had kids. They were always very depressing to me. It always meant having to be nice and having to sit around and pretend like you're close to people, when I could always feel the insincerity going on. Or in some cases, everybody's drunk off their asses. And it's like, why do I want to be around a bunch of drunk people, right? Like, holidays weren't great for me. So I decided that, and the help of spirit, to change the meaning, of these holidays, so that instead of going with what society said, I created my own traditions, which has always made it much easier on me for whatever. And also my kids get their own flexibility too. Obviously, if the kids wanted to stay home and have a Christmas dinner, we did it. But when the whole Santa belief thing went out the window, like, it was no big deal. We just did ours separately. I know for a lot of you, like, you do have these sort of disconnections now with your families, and it may not feel super great. But if you've decided to cut off from toxic people in your life, then you need to decide what these holidays mean to you. It's not a bad thing to spend the holidays alone if you actually have peace. It's not a bad thing unless you give meaning to it being a bad thing. So you may need to look at your belief systems surrounding the holidays, surrounding Christmas, New Year's, even. Like, I have so many people that I talk to around New Year's, especially single people that are like, am I going to meet, the love of my life, my soulmate? Am I going to spend New Year's alone? And it's like, why is that a bad thing? Right? But because there's all these superstitions, the person you kiss on New Year's Eve will be your mate for life. It's like, none of that stuff is real, you guys. It's good for us to know where these traditions came from. I think it's also very powerful to know that this is a hard time of year period because we have less light. Like here in Washington, the sun doesn't come up fully until sometime after 8 o'clock, like seriously, closer to 9. And then it goes down at like 4 p.m. and it's dark. It's a hard time of year because we're at the darkest time of the year as far as the sun is concerned. Unlike the summer when it's like the sun comes up early and it's out until 9, 10 o'clock at night. This is a rough time of year from the standpoint of we don't get to go outside and absorb all that vitamin D unless you live in California or maybe Australia or Hawaii or somewhere like that. But even then is difficult because I have family in Hawaii. It's not the same there celebrating Christmas or the holidays as it is here. And, I think there's just so much built up BS in the meaning of Christmas that we actually back ourselves into a corner with depression, right? Stop spending Christmas with toxic family members. It feels better that way, right? But then you have people, like I have people in my family that are like, oh, Christmas holidays are about family. And it's like, you're right. It can be, but shouldn't it be about family you actually get along with the rest of the year? Why only on one day a year are we going to get together and act like we give a crap when the rest of the year we don't talk or you talk about me? Right? Like, I'm not spending my holidays or any meal for that matter with people who want to talk poorly about me and sit there and pretend as if it's all good. I end up leaving those things feeling drained. I get more depressed doing those things than I do spending time alone in my pajamas watching, something on Netflix and drinking hot chocolate. For a long time, that's what me and my girls would do, would spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day watching whatever, like the Grinch, make some popcorn, make some hot chocolate. And that's how we spent Christmas Eve and Christmas, or we would go, like I said, tubing. We'd do something fun like that, then go shopping later when we could get all the huge bargains, which for me was perfect because Bella's birthday is in January. So I could do like the after Christmas sales for both Christmas and her birthday. And then we'd have a memory on Christmas. And when we have our Christmas dinner together as a family, it's what we want to do. And usually, like I said, it's on New Year's. And what a better way to ring in the new year. I'm so sort of anti-tradition. Let's give meaning and tradition where we want to create it. So for those of you who are sitting here going, I hate the holidays, it just reminds me of how alone I am. And, I'm missing people. And look, it's a day on the flipping calendar that we are celebrating that is in fact a pagan holiday, whether people want to admit it or not. And I may not be popular, but if you don't believe me, go look in the history books, because that's where it originated. And it was a time when communities gathered, and it was a time to bring the outdoors in. It was a time to try and cheer ourselves up and do nice things for people. But you know what? You can do those things 365 days a year. You don't need a freaking holiday to do it. And to me, we're going to feel a whole lot lighter if we stop putting meaning in things that are meaningless. If you are comparing your Christmas this year to a Christmas you had when you were 5 years old, you're only going to put yourself in a position of feeling bad. So if that's the case, change the meaning. You get to. That's the beauty of this life. We get to change what it means to us within our minds. And it's within your mind that creates the emotions, right, to the meaning that you're giving things. It's as simple as that. And I know it may just sound overly simplified, but I'm sure you guys know quite a few people who get super depressed. I'm all alone. I don't have a partner. Nobody bought me a present. Honey, let me tell you something. And I've gotten some nice presents through the years. I'm not big on having to receive presents. My birthday is always sort of blended into Christmas, right? Like I'd always get the happy birthday, Merry Christmas present because my birthday's 7 days before Christmas. So of course, it's like the worst time of year to have a birthday. But on top of that, a lot of people are traveling or they're gone or people just forget. But the thing that I have always said, like with any of it and all of it, is this: it doesn't matter as long as people are being kind. The biggest gift that I can get on any holiday or any birthday, or just be kind. Just be kind. I don't care what kind of present you give me or don't give me. I'm not going to remember any of that. I bet you guys, if you went back every year for however old you are, what did you get for Christmas from all the people that you spent? You couldn't remember. That's how meaningful it was, unless it was something super meaningful. That picture right there, I remember. You know why? Because it was on my birthday and it was something my kid made for me and it was her first piece of art. And I will never forget it. On that tree back there, you guys can't see, I have every single ornament made out of paper plates. My daughter made this little gourd ornament, my oldest, when she was in like 3rd grade. So we keep all of those. They just stay on the tree. Every year they get added to the tree, right? Like that's the stuff that matters to me. It's how we treat each other. It's what we do for one another. It isn't about a big meal and it isn't about flipping presents. And I get really frustrated for people, especially single parents, that are like struggling just to make it every other month of the year. And suddenly now you have to put thousands of dollars into buying presents because somebody said, hey, it's Christmas and all the kids expect this, that, and the other thing. And when we sit there and we feel guilt or bad or shame because we can't give our kids what everyone else is getting their kids, you've bought into the story of the materialism and the marketing that is Christmas. Like that's all. And if you're going to beat yourself up over it and feel depressed and feel sad because you can't get your kids the latest and greatest electronic or Nike tennis shoes, or I don't even know what they're into these days, then that's on you. But as a parent, you can also just say, hey, let's go do something fun, because I can remember most of the times that we've spent Christmas not on Christmas, like when we've done something on Christmas, like sledding and tubing. I remember who got hurt. I remember who got upset. I remember how tired we were on that last climb of the hill when we all decided no more. We got to go home. It was fun, but it's too much fun. Like those are the things that we can create rather than this big, gigantic, million presents under the Christmas tree. For those of you who don't have family or partners or children, and you're like, I'm so miserable on Christmas, go volunteer at a soup kitchen. Go spend some time at the Humane Society, right? Go do something nice for somebody else. Go feed the homeless. And then you will realize how much more you have than other people. It is not about the presents. I am super excited this holiday. You know why? It's quiet. It's peaceful. There's no craziness. There's no need to worry about all of the craziness. I love to drive around and look at Christmas lights too. In fact, there's last year we did the zoo lights. That was really cool. Didn't see any animals really, except for inside the aquarium part, but they light it up like crazy. There's a botanical garden I just found today, not far from us, that have lit up the botanical garden with the waterfalls. Like those are the kinds of things you can do for free, right? Like on Christmas, or there's the, like in Santa Fe and in Farmington, New Mexico, they had the luminaries inside the bags, whatever those were called, where they light stuff up like that. as well. You guys can do stuff like that. You don't need somebody to go with you to do those things. If you're single and you're like, you don't have anywhere to be on Christmas, and you're, instead of being depressed, go do something you've never done, like go hike somewhere you've never hiked, right? Go walk down at the beach, go do something. Oh, it's been about celebrating the birth of Christ, not about presents. Well, and that's great, whatever it means for you. You know, I'm not here to tell you guys what to believe. My point is this: it's only going to be depressing is if you put meaning into it, and that meaning has been stripped out because of choices you've made or because you've changed who you're allowing in your life. There's no reason for breaking boundaries, right? And allowing toxic people into your life just because it's Christmas. And for those of you who are empaths and you're sensitives like me, you know, some of the best Christmases, best holidays have been spent quietly just watching the fire and reading a book, having a glass of wine or having a glass of hot chocolate with marshmallows or whipped cream. I mean, it can be as simple or elaborate as you want it to be. There is no right and there is no wrong. But if you are sitting there in a place of feeling lonely because you don't have this or you don't have that, you need to change what the meaning is of these holidays. You need to change it for yourself so that you don't get sucked down the tube of depression. You know, it is a dark time of year, you guys. Like the energy, though, because it's Sagittarius, should be way more optimistic. But if we're putting our optimism in, what is so-and-so getting me for Christmas, or then you're losing it and you will tend to be more depressed. I'll tell you, as a child too, I don't care what presents I got. The most important thing for me as a child was the love of my parents, the attention from my parents. I truly, you know, if you can't afford to be buying all these gifts, don't stress yourself out. Just don't. Yeah, make a new peaceful tradition for yourself and give new meaning for it. You know, God bless. I know for me, like when I lived in California on my boat, it was really cool because they did a holiday boat parade. And while I did not participate and decorate my boat and do the whole little round around the bay, I sat on my boat, right? Me and my daughter would get a blanket. We'd sit on the deck of my boat and watch all the decorated boats go by. If we get to the place where we can make this meaningful from a place of what do I have to give, you know, and not what am I missing out on, it's going to shift that depression really quickly. We have to get out of this place where we keep feeling like we're missing out on something. But there's lots of things you guys can do. You know, it doesn't have to be what it is for everybody else. I mean, you can go surprise your neighbors, people working that day too. Go surprise someone that actually has to work if you are off. If you're one of these people that has to work, don't get all resentful about it. But we have to start shifting these things. And as we go through Christmas and New Year's, you know, we really need to change the meaning of it and get away from feeling like somehow we've missed out. All right. If you are to the point where you're feeling a lot of depression, then reach out to someone like me and get the help that you need. You know, don't sit in it by yourself. That's one of the things I know a lot of you that watch me, you're pretty good at reaching out, but there are some people out there that are afraid to admit that they're feeling really low. It's okay to be depressed. I'm not telling you guys it's not, but if you're ready to get out of that place, then ask somebody for help. Go find the help that you need. But think about this and talk to your friends about it too, that you know are feeling kind of depressed, you know, or if you've lost family members and this is creating some grief for you, you know, it may be something for you to take into account. Like, let's include maybe a tributary visit to the cemetery or something like that to feel like you're connecting, or go do something similar to what you would have done with that person you lost, right? To feel closer to them. They may be physically gone, but they're not gone. They're not. They're here with us. And all we have to do is open ourselves up to believe, but we have to push above that stage of grief to be able to really feel it.